Welcome back to the Next Level Show. We have a good episode lined up, ready for you guys to break down what is or how many days should you work out for the best gains with a Z, because we're embracing our inner bro here. It's the only way to do it. We have a couple of different suggestions because it's not going to be as straightforward as people may think. Because I know people clicking on this episode are going to be like, "Oh my god, we're going to get the exact amount of days that's the best. What is it?" And I think this is just to kind of prove our misconception with exercise, with working out. But before we get into it, Mike, how's it going? Are you cold?
I actually am cold. There's a there's an air vent that blows air. It's literally right up there. I'm looking right at it. And I have a bald head, so there's no insulation and heat
For people that don't
rises.
know, you guys can go to a YouTube channel. We do have one. You can guys can go see Mike's
You can.
beautiful, freshly shaved cabeza.
It's not. It's like Velcro right now. You just can't tell. Maybe over here you can.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so heat escapes through top of your head. So heat goes this way. Cold air is doing this. It makes me very, very cold if there's cold air blowing on it. So, Oliver got his. This is like the first real one because he's fallen down and bit his lip before, but he didn't really have teeth when he did it. So it was like kind of swollen. But yesterday he got himself good, like real good. Like he bit the fuck out of his upper lip, and it's like it's big. And then there was blood, and he was pissed. I wasn't here. Jen was here. And it it was traumatic for everybody because it sucks. You don't want to see your kid in pain. And then this morning, while I was drinking my coffee, I just fed him. I put him on the rug. There was nothing on the rug. It was an empty rug. We put all the toys away. He tripped over nothing while crawling towards me and busted his lip. And I audibly heard the crunch from top teeth and bottom teeth biting down on the already swollen lip. And like that made it so much worse. Like, dude, my shirt, my Batman Never Skips Leg Day shirt is now, I'm not even lying to you, like covered in blood. And a lot of it was drool because that happens when you bite your lip. You drool a lot, but it was like mildly, it was mildly too much. I'm a little traumatized. But yeah, he cried for a solid 30 minutes. I mean, inconsolably. And then he just like fell asleep because he was exhausted because he was freaking the fuck out, rightfully so. But
wailing his head off.
Now he's literally got like it's legitimately like I don't even know a good size comparison. His upper lip is huge right now. I feel so bad for him.
Are we looking like Kim K lips? Or are we looking like what's our prediction?
It's like, do you remember when all of those, like, do you remember like I don't know if it was TikTok or if it was like an Instagram stories or Snapchat trend where people were putting their lips in like a jar and sucking super duper hard, and it was pulling all the blood. And I think it was like it was some kind of stupid ass challenge where people trying to like make their lips super fat. Somebody listening to this episode knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's like that. Like it's super swollen.
How about Mr. Poe? Mr. Popo's lips.
It's close to Mr. Popo. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good just the upper lip though. He's still got the standard non-existent white boy bottom lip. I'm allowed to say that because I'm white. Also, I don't have lips. It's just yeah.
It's just a line.
It's literally just a line. I'm like a kind of like a South Park character, I guess. But
that's so funny.
Yeah, dude, it sucks, but it's the only way. Like you have to discover what gravity is and the consequences of not preparing adequately for it. And even if you're a baby and you trip over nothing, it's a tough lesson to learn for everybody. And I was like, if this kid goes through the rest of his life and this fat lip is the worst thing that ever happens to him, he's the luckiest human to ever walk the earth. But It reminded me of all the cuts and bruises and scrapes that I went through as a little kid, and it's like I'm like, fuck, he's gonna do a lot of that shit too.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's a matter of time.
Yeah.
It's just part of being a kid, man. Like that's how we as kids learn that certain things we should stay away from. Like we shouldn't touch the hot stove. And if you really don't believe your parents and you want to find out for yourself, trust me, you will permanently remember that that is a hot thing. You should not maybe go near it when it's on or put your hands near it. It's just I mean, and you're gonna keep seeing, especially he's a boy. He's gonna be just active, climbing things, knocking things over, throwing things, jumping off of things. It's just going to be, I think the more he gets, the more mobile he becomes. Oh, it's coming, man. It's coming for sure.
He's fearless. And we kind of set ourselves up a little bit for this because we play, well, I kind of set him up for this because I play a game with him on the couch. I'll put him on the couch and then he only has left or right to travel. And I'll like tickle him. And, I'll play, like, I'm going to get you and like do all that stuff. He loves playing that game, but it gets him in the mindset where he can play on the couch. And obviously he can't adequately get up or down from the couch. And his idea of getting down from the couch is to just fucking nosedive. Mm-hmm. So if we're ever up there with him, that's exactly what he does. He just crawls forward as if the couch continues. Mm-hmm. And it's up to us to catch him. So we have to like, we've been working on like rearranging that thought in his brain where anytime he's like moving forward, we pick him up, we flip him around and we like let his feet go down first. Yeah. So that he can kind of like get the idea of like, this is how you should exit the couch. But
yeah,
that's a fun game. I'm not going to stop playing that game with him. He loves it.
You can't stop doing things and eventually he'll learn. I mean, little by little, as you see, he becomes more conscious of what you're saying and he starts to follow instructions for the most part. And if he doesn't, obviously there'll be consequences. Gravity will punish him for it. Yeah. And so, but yeah, no, that's pretty cool. It makes me think about like busting lip, blood, all that stuff with babies. It makes me think of like my brother when he was small. He was about 3 years old when this happened, I believe. And he still has the scar to proof of this. Like he's 24 now. I mean, this is over 20 years ago. And it was right before my school. I was in elementary school at the time, and I was waiting for the bus, and my dad was hanging out in the kitchen. We were at my aunt's house because that's where I would take the bus, and she would watch my brother before he was in preschool or whatever. And my brother was always rebellious from a kid. Like he would always just not listen and get upset over things. And if I remember properly, my dad says something or he couldn't do something and he got upset and he starts like, running around and my dad's telling him to stop and he's just running around and just being like just all over the place. And eventually what happens is that my dad's just standing there talking to my aunt. And he's a little, 3-year-olds are still relatively small. They're not tall by any means. Their feet are still tiny. They kind of drag them. They're tripping over things all the time. And he trips over my dad's foot, but he falls head first into the corner of the wall and just slits his forehead in the middle. And as you can see, blood everywhere, you name it, just all over the place. My dad obviously takes off his sweater at the time and puts it as a white sweater. He just all ruined.
Yep.
I had to go I was like, oh crap. I was like shocked. And like, I felt super bad, obviously seeing him cry like that. Shit was horrible. And I don't know if they ever properly gave him stitches, but I think that's why he has a scar still on his forehead. But for the longest time, he had little glasses. He looked like Harry Potter. And that's when Harry Potter was pretty popular. So it was unfortunate, but my brother had a bunch of cuts, like scrapes on his knees and stuff, and it's always in the dirt. So yeah, no, my brother's gone through it, and that was one thing that it made me remember that even all these years ago, I still remember that exact incident. And yeah, but kids are a trip, man.
Quite literally.
So I wanted to kind of give a quick little updates before I forget. For people that are new or maybe haven't been, or just just listening to this episode, and you don't know, we do have a YouTube channel. We do primarily have most of our episodes on audio, so people that prefer just to drive and not have to watch anything and just be able to listen, perfect. Keep doing what you're doing, but just aware for people that love to kind of see facial expressions, stuff that we do maybe we might point to or anything, they can obviously hop on YouTube and search the Next Level Show. We are there. Subscribe to the channel just to show some support. Leave a comment if you'd like, and we can interact with you guys. Just want to put that out there. Also on Instagram, I'm primarily most active on Instagram, but I'm also on Facebook and Twitter. But you can search my name, Jonathan Alvarez. I'll pop up there. But for the Next Level, for the Instagram handles, the Next Level page is at the Next Level Show. My account's at John Alva Fitness. Gabe, he's at Prime and Glory. He's not with us today. Had to work. And Mike, he's at Mike Nillis PT. Description below. We have all that information for you, as well as the timestamps of where we're going to be covering each topic if you want to bounce around. But I wouldn't do that too much on this episode because there's going to be a lot of important points and topics that we have to cover so you fully grasp on how you're going to best maximize your time in the gym or how many days you're going to work out to get the best results.
Are we going to jump into that, or do you want to continue banter for a little bit?
Well, I thought you had something to say. I saw you kind of like about to jump in, and I wanted just to make sure we covered that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I got to tell you real quick. I got two things for free yesterday. I had a check engine light come on in my car, which I figured was kind of my fault, and it was. And then I was like, well, I'm bringing it to the dealership. May as well change the oil. So they did that, and the first one's always free. At Subaru at least. And while they were doing it, they were like, it's a temperature, like an exterior temperature reading error. So it's not reading temperature outside. They're like, did you do something to the front bumper? I was like, I've done quite a few things around the front end of that car now. So yeah, most recently I did aftermarket horns, and I may have unplugged some things that weren't supposed to be unplugged because that's just how I roll sometimes. And yeah, so I technically accidentally unplugged the exterior thermometer, which is basically what it was. And bro, I'm telling you, this thing was like barely an inch square plastic. It looked like it was just a clip that was holding something on. I don't know what the fuck it was. Apparently,
I think I know what you're talking about.
Apparently it was just a thermometer that sits like right inside the bumper. And they wound up keeping it overnight because I didn't want to drive all the way back to Fort Myers just to pick it up. And when I went back the next day, they were like, don't worry about it. Like, it's fine. You kept the piece. You're going to reinstall it, whatever. I was like, well, what if the light doesn't turn off when I, do the thing and replace it? And they're like, we'll just clear it for you. So I encountered my first time with this where I actually scared the shit out of myself, and I feel like I'm part of the manual transmission club now, because when I went in my car, you don't even think about it anymore. You press the clutch, you turn the key, and then you let the clutch out. If what you're supposed to do is not have your car in gear, and it's just in neutral with the emergency brake or the parking brake on, and like that's how I roll. So I did that, and the person that parked my car where it was left it in first fucking gear. And bro, I'm not even lying to you. If I hadn't already that day, I would have shit myself, because I was not expecting my car to lunge forward in the middle of the fucking parking lot like that at like 7:30 in the morning. God. And I was just sitting there like, who the fuck drove my car into this fucking parking spot, left it in gear, and then turned it off, you stupid fuck? Like, come on, bro. Letting the new guy park my car. But got the issue resolved. I can read outside temperature now, and my car is like, no more check engine light, whatever. And then I went to Moe's for lunch, and
I haven't been there forever.
Yeah, dude, that's what I was like. I'm gonna go to fucking Moe's. It was good. They've changed a couple things. I definitely recommend going there. The menu's a little different. And in my opinion, it tasted a little better than I remember, or maybe it's just been a while. But I tried to pay for my food as any normal person does, and my card got declined, which there's plenty of money on my card. So I was like, the chip must be like wearing out or something. So I tried again, and it failed again. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And the girl was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's free. It's fine. You can just take it." I'm like, "Just gonna give me like Moe's free?" She's like, "Yeah, just take it. It's fine." I was like, "Okay, thank you, appreciate it." So I got a check engine light cleared for free, which is normally like at least a couple $100. And then I got free lunch. I was like, "Today's a good day."
That is a pretty good day. Minus the jump forward, right?
Minus the if that's what I had to pay to experience free service and free food, then well worth it. But if you're ever like, if you just it's a common courtesy, like if you're ever driving somebody else's car that happens to be a manual and you somehow know how to drive it but don't normally drive them, like don't park it and leave it in gear. That's so fucking dangerous. It's bad for the car. It's bad for the person that gets in it not expecting it, because they will probably shit themselves. If they have any kind of heart problems, you're gonna kill them. Like,
so
it literally scared the shit out of me, dude.
I'll confess. I mean, I personally always have my car parked in first gear.
No,
but I'm accustomed to this. I've been doing this for years. And for the longest time, it was mainly because I used to be on a very big slope, so it was just so it's not just sitting on that brake. So the purpose for it is just to it acts as, if you're on a flat surface, it acts as a
like an
because this is my past. And Mike, there's something's up with your mic, your little mic, so you went silent. But what happened was, when I had another car, I went to the gym with my buddy and I let him drive. And most of my group of friends, we all drive manual cars, or have. And we parked at the gym. I let him drive that day. I didn't want to drive, and he parked it, put the e-brake a certain amount. It kind of leaves the car there. But the problem was that it was in neutral. The e-brake wasn't all the way. And when we go out after a workout, the car is not in its parking spot. And I freaked out. I was like, holy cow, what happened? And turns out that the car literally went back and it started rolling backwards into another parking spot. So not good. Freaked the hell out. Turns out that the e-brake wasn't strong enough. And yeah, it was a very, very scary moment. I thought someone stole my car.
Oh shit. Dang, that would have scared the crap out of me, dude.
So that was my experience, and that's why ever since then I've always put my car in first gear as a safety thing. For whatever reason, it rolls back. Luckily, there was no other car behind it, because it would just rammed right into it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that it also went back. It popped over the little parking thing and went over, so it was kind of like stuck, like in between both of them. Luckily, my car was high enough. It was high enough where it wasn't like scraping or anything. But yeah, dude, it was just weird. It was just like, crap, what the heck? So that was a thing. I always just put it in there, and
that makes me wonder, because I am on a.
It gives me peace of mind.
I'm on a pretty steep driveway now, because we have a recently built house in Cape Coral, and like flood code has increased the height above grade that the foundation has to be. So our driveway is pretty steep.
Yeah, I know yours.
So that makes me think about that in a different way. Not to say, I don't know, I'd have to like look into it.
Pay attention when you park it on the driveway. Notice that when you let go of the brake, it just goes boom. It kind of like sits, right? So that's fine. That's obviously what it's designed for. But I just, as a courtesy, I put it in afterwards, just as a safety precaution, just in case.
Maybe what this really is that I need to start parking in the garage.
Yeah. Dude, if I had a house, I would organize my garage. So my car, absolutely.
Oh, there's room for it. I would just need to.
Florida heat is just is brutal, man. It damages vehicles.
Yeah, that's a fact. Damages everything. Damages your brain too.
So I kind of wanted to do one more thing before we jump into our topic at hand. If that's okay with you, Senor. Do you have a time crunch or anything by any chance? Do we have to be out at a certain time? Cool. Awesome.
Negative.
Cool. So I made a post yesterday, a poll actually, on my Instagram story. I was just messing around at the gym, working out, I've been very consistent with working out since I've been back. And well, even before then, I was pretty regular. and not really PRing necessarily, but just really moving some weight and getting back into that feeling of feeling strong, right? One of my buddies, all the guys that I work with for the most part have competed in mainly bodybuilding, right? Traditional bodybuilding, traditional poses, the whole like side pose, the thigh, making the leg look super big, the hamstring drop. And we were just joking around. I was like, show me that pose. I'm always curious on how you do that one side pose where you really make the hamstring and the leg look very wide. And I'm always thinking, like, damn, like how much of that hamstring is just hanging, right? But no, it is part you do need to have developed legs, but it's a lot of it's just not even flex. It's just kind of like when you Mike, you know this pose when you show the arm to the side and you make your tricep look very big, like you make the arm look very wide. Basically, that's the same concept when it comes to making your leg look very wide. You're kind of just pressing it against the other leg, and then you do kind of like a bicep pose. You can do a tricep pose from that position.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
yeah. Dude, this is basically
So
doing like that, where you're like,
correct. You're
yeah,
doing
yeah, yeah, yeah.
for the listeners that you can't see, boom, you kind of smash it against the
Mhm.
tricep, makes it look wide. So it makes the arm look bigger, essentially. Um, so I was messing around. I'm like, dude, it's crazy how much bigger I look, and I haven't changed anything. So I took a picture, I posted, I'm like, compete in 2022? Question mark. I put yes or no. A lot of support for the yes, and I was actually it's pretty cool seeing that how many people hop on your corner when you're about to when you're thinking about doing something like this, and I think that's always what keeps people engaged, motivated. Those are the perks of social media that people like that you may not talk to might just give you a quick little bump of motivation, like, dude, keep going, you're inspiring me, that's cool. Or like, hell yeah, man, you can do it, we believe in you. That's all cool stuff, right? So it was nice to see. It made me think like I know what it was like back then, and I did have tons of support from many people during my competition prep and everything leading up, and the good victory that I was able to get in my division, my class. So with all that being said, I mean, I have contemplated the idea of doing something like um, hard, I guess, right? But when it comes to competing, I would definitely have interest in doing like a classic competition, which is different than physique that I did before, which is kind of with the board shorts. You kind of just stand and you're not really posing much. Because I kind of want to be able to show off the legs, right? I want to be able to show off more and flex, and you have an actual posing routine. You can actually like, it's more than just standing with a pump. So that's my one thing. But I would definitely need to. I have a good base already, but I would definitely need to spend a lot of time building. So to prep the body to even consider doing that, I would need to be a certain size to be realistic, to even stand a chance with how the division's set up right now. The cool thing about this one too is that they have actual heights and weight balances. So there's like a metric that you can follow, right? So you have some point of reference. So it's actually more
That makes
specific,
sense.
right?
Yeah.
So it's not just maybe if we like bigger people today, you're gonna win. Maybe if we like someone smaller and more cut, we're gonna win. So it's actually like you have like you have to make weight and other factors as well.
So is that like a range of heights where it's like 6 foot plus competes against other 6 foot plus at 200 pounds or whatever?
I
And
think,
then
but it definitely even has like more specific. I think it has like between 5'6" and 5'7", 5'3", 5'4", or
well, no,
5'5", whatever.
that makes a good amount of sense, because if you have somebody that's 150 pounds at 6'5" and 150 pounds at 5'6",
Yeah, of
five
course,
foot six looks way fucking better.
of
6'5"
course,
looks like it needs a cheeseburger. So it makes sense. Of course, that's a extreme example, but
of
that's
course.
always something that I've kind of wondered about.
But
So that's
but
cool.
you see that a lot. You've seen that a lot in the physique division, the men's physique division. So for people that don't know, it's a a lot of gray area when you compete. Luckily, I had good conditioning, and the judges just approved of my stage presence, if that makes sense. Like I looked confident, I looked like I wasn't dying or in pain, and everything turned out okay. But I was thinking about it. Realistically analyzing the situation, I probably wouldn't compete in this year just because of the amount of time that I would realistically need to take, especially that I'm not enhanced by any means, meaning I don't take any synthetic hormones, any type of any type of injectables or whatever, which I'm not against. I would, if I'm about this life and I'm thinking about taking this to the next, next level, I would definitely have to consider these factors to be realistic. I can't just be like, oh, I was going to do this my way. And sure, could you? Absolutely. But it's a sport that that's part of it. But I was thinking about doing other things this year in the process of just loving lifting heavy again, getting my strength up, feeling that overall my body just feeling good all around. I've been thinking about picking up boxing this year for a couple of years or some type of like combat sport, whether maybe jujitsu or something, and just kind of dedicate like my exercise and that while I still lift weights because that's something that I just love to do. So I've been contemplating, not focusing too much on the bodybuilding this year. I'm not ever going to compete in boxing or any type of combat sport on a high level because I don't feel like getting punched in the face like that. But with all that being said, we don't know yet. I'm still kind of contemplating. But the cool thing about bodybuilding, I have to throw this out there compared to different sports, is that the older you get, normally you still have many years of great success because the older you get, the more the time you put into the gym, your muscle matures. Compared to like if I'm 35 years old competing against a 20-year-old that maybe has only spent like maybe 10 years of training, I've been spent 20 years of training and I've been pretty good at it. I'm going to most likely have that edge over him versus in other sports like basketball, soccer, and other like even just combat sports. The younger you are, typically you're going to be better than someone that is past their prime. So that's the cool thing about bodybuilding. So I know that it's always going to be there if I ever fully want to commit lifestyle wise, because that is a lifestyle commitment sport. You can't, there's no off time. You have to live, eat, sleep, literally bodybuilding. With other sports, you can still have a pizza after the game. After you had a rough game, you can relax and get back to training the next day. So it's different. There's different mindsets to consider. So if you're someone that's also contemplating this year, definitely nothing wrong with it. Just really have those things in check and write them all down and really be honest with what's going to happen. So just wanted to put that out there as a thing. But are we ready, Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Cool. Awesome. So, as like the title says, how many days should you work out for the best gains? Now, part of this post was part of this episode was inspired by a client of mine. We were just talking, and she's been super consistent with the gym, working out on her own 3 days a week, 1 day with me, and she for the most part crushed it. Likes going to the gym, enjoys it, but like everybody comes to this point eventually, like myself included. Maybe you're kind of like you're not really driven towards maybe excelling in the gym, maybe with PRs necessarily, or you don't have a really hard aesthetic goal that you're chasing. So you're just working out at this point just to maintain your health and maintain your shape. But you're not like striving head on towards something, right? Which is, I want to put very clear, that is 110% fine. I mean, you don't have to have a very specific physique goal nor a performance goal to just work out consistently, because at the end of the day, above all those things, which are fine to have those goals as well, you have to keep in mind that this is for your health as well. And this is a forever thing. So this is not, you only work out when you have a goal. That is a very poor mindset to adopt with the fitness industry, with your health, especially because obviously other areas of your life are going to suffer as a result of that type of thought process, right? So she was kind of going through that, and we kind of got into the conversation of changing the amount of days possibly. And before we get into it, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah. Let me interject real quick. That's exactly where I'm at. The space that you just mentioned about not having super specific goals, and still just working out for the health benefits and doing it basically to do it, is what it feels like while you're there. And I mean, it's kind of knowing who I am and where I've been and all the information that's in my head about exercise. It feels kind of weird to go in without direction. But at the same time, it's starting to become kind of liberating, because since I'm not following a specific program, I'm not shooting for a specific goal, I can pretty much do whatever the fuck I want. And that gives me a lot of mobility as far as what my workout looks like, depending on how I'm feeling. As long as I'm there and I'm doing something, I'm succeeding. So it's a little strange if you're somebody that has a lot of experience as a gym goer and has followed strict routines before. But at the same token, it is there's a liberating piece to it where you kind of just get to feel how you're feeling and kind of go based off that and be like, oh, you know what? I'd really like to do this today. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And then you just fucking do it. And it works out, and there's real credibility to just doing it for the health benefits with no real goal in mind. I mean, it's definitely not a waste of time. So if you're in that boat, don't feel like that's what's going on, because something is way better than nothing.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, so what I wanted to say is I agree 100% with that. You don't need to have a goal to just exercise and move your body. A lot of people would just benefit from just being active at some point in their week a couple times, right? Because obviously we're dealing with uh the realities of many people just don't move barely anything on average, even just the basics of just walking, right? So we've eliminated a lot of those things. So setting some time aside to exercise in a way that you genuinely look forward to is what we most recommend, right? So, but to keep it focused on how many days should you be working out, she was this particular client was working out 4 days a week, and she was kind of doing more of an upper lower split. And we'll kind of at the end we'll get stay tuned. We're gonna get into how you can kind of split these things up and organize them. So I think that would be very helpful for people to kind of, when they think of 4 days, oh, I've never heard of 4 days. Maybe someone never heard of 4 days. 5 days, 6 days, 3 days, 2 days. 2 days, really? How would you organize a 2 day routine? So I think this is like some good takeaways, especially at the end. But to understand how many days you should work out, I think Mike and I are on the same board when we say you need to pick the amount of days that you realistically can adhere to for basically the rest of your life, or for the majority of your life, right? In this case, this may look a lot like 2 to 4 days for probably, I would say, the majority of people, general population. I'm not talking to um super physique competing, even though we're just talking about bodybuilding. I'm not talking to the competitors. I'm not talking into the high level elite athletes out there. I'm talking to the average person here. Realistically, what that looks like, ideally, if you can come in 2 times a week, great. Anywhere from 2, 3, and 4 days typically will fit better for the majority of people. Now, I am not saying that those are the best amount of days for the individual. What's going to determine the best, based on, you know, research, based on a lot of other factors, based on experience with just working with people, the best amount of days, or the amount of days that you should work out should be based on your lifestyle, your ability to stay consistent, of course, and your recovery ability is a huge factor in how many days you should be working out. Um, a lot of people automatically only assume that the more they do, the better, and that's just a concept that a lot of people, including me and Mike, we in our past, we just thought if we weren't training, we were losing gains, right? If we're not in the gym, we're losing our hard-earned muscle. That was a big fear. So understanding that, like, you don't grow in the gym, you need to understand that while you're in the gym, you are temporarily damaging the body, breaking it down, and you need to prioritize heavier and more emphasis should be put on the recovery process of your workouts, because y- there's no amount of days, like if you do 5 days a week and you can adhere to a 5 day schedule, but your sleep's poor, your food's is inconsistent, you're sore, you're not able to properly recover from this, you're going to start actually seeing diminishing gains, even though 5 days split done correctly is fantastic. There's nothing wrong with it. So your ability, your lifestyle, What you're going to adhere to consistently in your recovery are going to be what are going to determine your personal, what's going to be your personal best. Now, for most people, like I said, a 2 to 4 day a week is more than enough for a lot of people starting out and to maintain, because if you're not someone that just dedicates your life to fitness, you also have a limited time to probably incorporate a lot of these other moving parts that are outside of the gym. So that's what I wanted to kick off the episode. Mike, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times I, talked to people, and you ask them how many days a week they're thinking about, coming into the gym, and it's like so many people think they need to do it 5 to 7 days a week, and it's like, I mean, if you can do that and be happy with yourself, like, more power to you. I don't want to take that from you, but that's just not realistic for 90% of the population. And like that, maybe that's an exaggerated number, but it's just not realistic for most people. You weren't a gym person before now. That's why you're not in good shape. So now, like, starting now, you're going to be a gym person. Like, it's a little, like, take it a little bit more slowly than that. I understand you're super motivated. So when anytime I ever had somebody, sitting across the table from me and they want to, come in 7 days a week, I'm like, okay, that's great. I fully support you. That's awesome. But we all know life gets in the way. So, like, even on those tough weeks where you have a lot going on, like, what's a minimum number of days that you can come in? Like, what does that week look like? And then they'll go, okay, yeah, maybe, like 2 or 3. I'm like, let's shoot for that. Anything extra, I'm not going to take away from you. You can come in every day if you want to, but let's program around 2 to 3 days a week. And then if you find motivation or time or have nothing better to do that day and you want to go to the gym a little bit more, just take the extra day and do it then. But shoot for something consistent, because that is literally what's going to get you the results. It's you can get the most intelligent programmer in the whole entire world to write your program. It'll be scientifically created in a lab, and if you don't do it, it's not going to do you any good. Or you can get something from Instagram and do it very, very consistently and get really, really good results from it because you're being consistent. So just take that, as a thought, and try to use that to the best of your ability, because it's really more about consistency than anything else.
Absolutely. Brilliantly said. That's not something I also like highlight in an assessment with a client starting out. Like, how many days do you see yourself working out? And typically they'll shoot for the higher numbers, 3 to 5, right? Like, I can work out 3 to 5 days a week. We've done this long enough that we know the real answer. So I always ask them. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's amazing. But now this has motivated you. You came into the gym, you're talking with me. Right now you're at a higher level of motivation. I want to ask you, on a week that you're super slammed, super busy, tired, maybe on that, because that motivation is going to come and go. When it's not there, kind of fired up. Realistically, how many days do you see yourself coming in there? And it drops down to more like 1 to 2 for the average beginner, out of shape, hasn't been working out for a long time. This seems more appropriate, more realistic. And I'm versus being old me would have been like, that's not enough. You don't even bother at this point, right? And but understanding how the body works, understanding the science, understanding other behavioral things that are important, we know that I applaud them. I'm like, sweet, that's what I want to focus on. And like you said, anything extra, great. But let's start here. And they're like, you know what? I like that. And then it removes kind of maybe a paradigm that they believed going in, that just automatically you just took that, because they probably also feel the pressure to answer a certain amount to see how to show their commitment. But if you remove that barrier, you're instantly going to be mentally more open to do this whole fitness thing, this whole lifestyle change, this whole endeavor that you have to take on, Mike.
Yeah, and there's definitely misconception about how much it takes, and you can go on Instagram or whatever social media you want to and see these people that are in incredible shape, that probably are training 5 to 6 days a week, 7 days a week. They don't miss a day ever. And you, in your brain, you connect the dots and say, if I want to look like that, I have to train 5 to 7 days a week and eat nothing but chicken and broccoli. And so you have this sort of preconceived notion of what it's going to take. And this is ultimately what causes a lot of people to fail, because you just set unrealistic expectations on yourself and hold yourself to this unreasonable standard. And you can't make it 7 days a week. You think this is what you have to do. And then if I can't make it 7 days a week, then why the fuck am I even bothering? And then you just get back off the carousel to, later return to it again in a couple of months. So it is paradigm shifting for a lot of people. And you can kind of, taking it from this approach, the same exact we're having the same conversation with people in different words, and you're kind of reestablishing those expectations, not with somebody you're seeing on Instagram, but with an actual human that's sitting in front of you, and more personal trainers. So we're supposed to know what the fuck we're talking about. And that could be very illuminating to some people, where, maybe it's not as much as I thought it was. Maybe this is a little bit more reasonable. And that's kind of like where we're approaching this episode from, is just, maybe we can reach somebody else that's kind of in the same spot that needs to hear this kind of shit.
Absolutely. And any point that someone feels like this is something important, you can focus on the time where we're talking about it, send it to somebody, because I know that might be, they can focus on that particular point that can definitely change their paradigms. Obviously, I learned tremendously through podcasts throughout the years from people that are much smarter than I am, that were able to kind of create these conversations. So that's kind of the point of us even breaking this down for you guys. So to kind of just to solidify that point, to clarify, I'm sorry, the amount of days that you should be going to the gym should be attached and should be reviewed as what's your lifestyle at the moment, what's your ability to realistically, if there's no motivation, you're not in a good mood, life is hectic, the consistency level of what you can actually participate in the gym without missing many days. And your last point that's very critical, your ability to recover, because maybe you're someone that's really a type personality, and you're just literally like able to just grind out through anything, and that's fine. But realistically, are you able to recover from said workouts? So those are also things that you need to really highlight. Understanding your goals. What are you trying to accomplish? I think this is another point that's going to determine. It's like understanding what what you're trying to accomplish. Right? Are you trying to be a competitor one day? Then you're really gonna have to make real lifestyle changes. Literally alter your life, where the gym will be priority number one the majority of the time in your life. So understanding what you're trying to accomplish. Are you just trying to lose a couple pounds, but you don't care about being ready for a photo shoot nor a stage? Then maybe you can kind of alter some things, and we other factors we tend to consider. Those are for the main points. What I want to transition over is to the different splits. These are going to be how you're going to divide. Let's say you are listening to this podcast. You've kind of taken these factors into consideration. You understand what you're trying to do with yourself. You pick the amount of let's say like you're based on your lifestyle. You know what you can be consistent with. Are you in college right now? Are you starting a business? Are you just having a child? Do you have a 1-year-old that's tripping over himself? What's going on in your life right now? And also, what can I truly recover? Am I getting good sleep? Am I able to really am I going to make the time to eat? I hate like if I can make. Are you going to do certain things? Are you going to prioritize your sleep? Are you going to be able to recover from these brutal workouts or these whatever? Are you ready for that? Now, I have a couple options here. Mike, do you have anything to add before we jump into our days?
No.
Cool.
I'm
Awesome.
waiting with bated breath.
So we have we're gonna start off with, should we start from like the lower end, or should we start with the higher end and move our way down?
I don't know, man. You tell me. I'm the one with the notepad.
All right, cool. So let's keep it simple. Let's start. Actually, I'm going to start with the higher end and then work our way down to the less days, because I think it's very common just to keep adding. I want to start like, let's say you're a motivated individual. Does this look realistic to you? My super pumped up people, right?
Actually,
so
that's a
we're
good
going to
idea.
start. So let's start with, and this might actually be something where someone might be looking and be like, you know what? Sounds cool on paper, but damn, I really don't feel like doing that. So now 6 days a week, right? Because I used to train almost every day, man. And I would have to schedule that rest day because I was in the gym every day if I could. I didn't care. It took priority over the majority of my life. Even college, I missed fucking assignments because I was in the gym. So yeah, shows my fucking priority
So
list right there.
are we saying take at least a day off? Is that what we're
at the bare minimum, majority of you should be taking an actual rest day. Now, the rest day doesn't mean you have to be on the couch and in your bed all day, but take a break from pounding the body, especially if you're someone that's literally working out hard, lifting heavy, pushing yourself. And I'll explain the reason why. Now, the top end is typically 6 days a week is a very more of an advanced split for, I would say, if you're someone that's just starting out, do not even bother, as you can skip to maybe 4 and on. But if you're someone that's already been working out, we have some people that do train and they do love it, and they've considered this 6 days a week. How would you even split this up on a week, right? So we have our standard week of, Monday to Sunday or Sunday to Saturday, however you look at the calendar, right? We have a typical way that it's very common, and I like this layout personally, is a push pull legs style split. Now, push pull legs means that push is going to be mainly your chest, try, shoulders, kind of how it's going to be broken down. You have your follow up day, which is a pull day, which is primarily your pulling exercises like your back, your biceps, or contributors to pulling your traps, your rear delts, stuff like that. That's where you kind of may see some of that kind of organization. And then obviously, legs. You have arms. No, I'm just kidding. So, so you have your leg day, you have your squats, you have your leg accessories, you have lunges, you have RDLs, you can even throw in your deadlifts on your lower body day. On a controversial point, some people have debated putting it on their pull day or their lower body day. This one is kind of like depending. It depends what you prioritize here. I used to put it on my lower body day. Squats and deadlifts were the main movers, and then accessory work. That's how I used to do. Very brutal, very hard. Don't recommend it for everyone, but that's a simple way. Now,
I think that's when I was working with you.
Yeah, we used to kind of do it like that.
Yeah.
We've
I
done
liked
different variations.
it was tough, but it makes you feel a certain type of way, and it's nice.
It was a very simple yet effective day because you knew, boom, I'm psyched up for this day. I have two big movers, so back to that push pull. So you would do the push pull legs, and then this is an option. Break after those 3 days. You take one day off, and then you repeat push pull legs. Now you would have 6 days a week, or you can do push pull legs, continue push pull legs, and then a break, and then repeat that cycle again. So there's a lot of pros to this. You can get a lot of volume, a lot of workouts in a week. I did this for a while. When I had the time, I was making the priority. I was consistent as hell, and I was able to focus all my eating, sleeping, and lifestyle around the gym. And I was getting tremendous results. I loved it. It was a good time, and it's stuff that I used to look forward to. Now I would split it. I would organize it a certain way, but yeah, push pull legs is fantastic if you're someone that's more advanced. That's maybe really prioritizing the physique. I wouldn't do this if you're a strength athlete. It might be a little bit too much for the body. So that's my take on push pull legs. A lot of competitors do this. A lot of general people that are super passionate, super at the time, they do this. What is your take on this, Mr. Mike?
I absolutely love push pull legs. I feel like some of the best progress I saw was on a 6-day push pull legs. Cody McBroom's 6-day push pull legs, actually. Cody Boom Boom on Instagram. Very smart guy. Good program. Fun program.
I think he actually switched over to Cody McBroom on Instagram now.
Oh, did he? Shows what I know. I haven't been on fucking socials in like 84 years. I would even be so bold as to say that this may even be reasonable. Now we're talking about a push pull legs day with probably a decent amount of volume, right? And that's what I did when I was going through that program. It was a lot, and I got good results from it because sleep, food, all those things that we're talking about. But I would even argue that if you're somebody who has a lot of days that you can come in, but you don't have that long to come in, if you can come in 6 days a week, but you only have like 30 minutes to work out, this may actually be something that you could pull off too. I mean, you're not going to get 4 sets of 8 to 12 on 10 exercises by any means, but you may be able to cut those numbers down and maybe do like, 5 exercises, 3 sets, 8 to 12, something like that, where it's a little bit more time efficient and you can kind of get in, get out real quick and, go on with your work day or whatever's on the menu for you. But I love 6 days a week. If I were able to, I would, but it's not in the cards for me. I would even, to go off of push pull legs real quick, I would even venture to say, both of us are suckers for full body training, of course, and you could even take 3 of those days if you're on a 6-day split and do 3 full body days, and then you have options for those other 3 days. You can do a focus session, which is a very MAPS aesthetic kind of style of training, which is a program you can buy from Mind Pump Media, and focus on certain body parts that you want to kind of bring up or put more emphasis on. Or you could be bold in another way and do fucking 6 full body days, with, probably a massive decrease in overall volume each day. Because you if you go too hard on that, you're very likely to enter the overtraining realm. But if you're taking it easy,
probably wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean it's bold. Well, I mean,
It's a lot.
If you're doing 3 conventional, like foundational, MAPS anabolic days, and then following it up with like body weight band type stuff.
Yeah, of course,
That's not
that's
so
an option.
bad. That's more what I'm talking about. I'm not saying like going on a Monday and do heavy squats and then Tuesday heavy leg press, Wednesday heavy deadlifts. Like that would wreck anybody. That would not be a good time. But yeah, go ahead. Back to the
No, I love that you brought that up because a push pull leg is the most common one when it comes to dividing the body parts, because some people want to be able to focus on their push, their pull, their legs, and then kind of just add just that. You're mentally prepared to go there, but like Mike said, we've done it where we've done full body 3 times a week, hard full body sessions that take a little bit, maybe an hour to an hour and a half, and then you would have the days in between that would be just to really prioritize during that period body parts that we wanted to develop or bring up. So that is a fantastic way of, those are just goes to show that it's not set in stone that this is the only way you can organize those days, right? I almost overlooked that part, so I'm glad that you brought it up. Moving on to 5-day split. A 5-day split, you have a ton of options here. The most common one that comes to mind is a traditional body part split, which brings me back to my beginning days when I was just young and just excited. I'm not gonna. We used to knock them a lot back in the day. I think when we kind of like found more of the science on like full body and like kind of dividing the body parts a certain way, we kind of shit on body part splits. I know I did for the longest time. I would knock them, but I can't lie. If you're someone that loves to train and you're inspired by physiques and bodybuilding, body part split is a great way to divide it. You can do kind of like a chest and tri, back and bi, legs, shoulders and accessory work, or shoulder day and arm day. Totally fine. There's nothing inherently wrong with doing it that way. I think for most people, there are better options. The only downside to doing it that way is that if you miss a day, you kind of throw your week off in a whack. Like, you throw your week on a whack. Well, I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. But you throw your week off basically by missing that one day. So if you missed your leg day, for example, you may, if you unless you make up for it or you add in another day, you start falling behind. So that's the only negative side of I seeing you dividing it that way. But nothing wrong with doing a body part split. I think they're a lot of fun. I sometimes throw it in there in my weeks just to say I'm going to bro it out. And that's like a term for just chasing the pump and just being very bodybuilder focused, if you will. They had a lot of truth back in the day when it came to that. And there's actually now a lot of studies coming out as well when it comes to just the frequency, because that was the biggest argument for people to switch over to a push pull or an upper lower, the frequency component. As long as the volume is for the most part accounted for, it seems to be pretty balanced. It doesn't seem to have that much of a superior benefit when intensity and volume is accounted for. There's a fine line, there's an art to it, but those are things to consider. I think a way I would divide it here, Mike, also is some ways that I've done it many times is an upper lower repeated. So an upper lower, maybe a break in the middle, upper lower again, and then maybe throw in an off day with an accessory day on the following recovery day. Or I would eliminate the rest day in the middle, upper lower, break, accessory day, where you would throw in maybe some of the weaker body parts that you wanted to maybe focus on and maybe add a little bit of a touch up day. That's not super aggressive, but it allows you to kind of bounce back the next week to kind of crush it again. That's one way that I've also done it. What are some things that come to mind here or something you would organize here?
My go-to for 5 days has been kind of a conjugate style training, where you're adding in different rep ranges throughout the week. So when I hear 5-day split, my brain immediately goes to heavy upper lower, and then push pull legs hypertrophy. So
Okay.
basically you're shooting for like lower reps, heavier weight for the first 2 days, upper body, lower body.
Yeah.
And then the last 3 days of the week, you're going back to that push pull legs format, but you're chasing the pump on those days.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun when I was running through that program. And I had a couple clients at Crunch that I put through something similar, and they loved it. It's fun because
Yeah.
you get all the things throughout the week. You can dedicate
Yeah.
heavy deadlifts and then go and do your hypertrophy squats. And the way it's segmented, you get a day off before you go back. Like after the upper body day, you do legs and then you go and do more upper body. And so that's kind of gratifying. And then you get a really tough leg day on Tuesday and then another tough one on Friday. And then you have the whole weekend to recover for your next leg day on Tuesday. So I really, really like that format. Considering it's heavy, there's a heavy component to it, at least. I would say maybe intermediate, maybe advanced for some people, or if you want to, just take the format and not the rep ranges, you could really do whatever you want with that split. But I really like that one.
Absolutely. I definitely have done that one as well, Mike. And I love that that comes we can actually make an episode more in depth on program design and our ways of how we would write something, but that's definitely something critical to consider because even with the push pull leg 6-day split, the way I used to do it, and I forgot to mention, is that the first 3 days were the heavier strength focused days, so the rep ranges were different. The other half of that push pull legs actually was more of a hyper push pull leg. So I would really focus on chasing the pump, a little bit lighter on the weight and more on just like moving, feeling the muscle, filling it up. It was still intense, but you had those two elements within the week. So kind of a mixed style, just so it wouldn't be overkill on the joints,
Yep.
unless you'd go through phases like block phases, which just kind of takes this podcast in a whole other direction that we would get.
That's
We
what I
would
was
go
just
down a
about to say.
rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if any questions, obviously you guys can shoot us a message too, because I know this gets complex and this white my people might feel, what do I do? How do I program it? This is the perks of having a trainer or investing in good, well-designed programs, because it starts to take that guesswork out, but also teaches you why, if you have a good program, you're getting results. But yeah, totally, that upper lower followed up with a push pull legs can be a great way to segue a 5-day split. I will even throw in the caveat because Mr. Mike brought this up, is you can also do a 3-day foundational full body day with 2 accessory, like lighter trigger slash foundation, like what is it, trigger days, but what's the other one for Maps aesthetic style?
Focus sessions.
Focus sessions, yeah. So you can throw in days on the side, or it can be a day where you can add in some mobility or some correct more of that recovery type movement. So that's another way to consider. So definitely,
I feel like full body is always an option. Like it's
100%.
arguably better for most people. If you ever miss a day, you already did 2 full body days that week, so like it's not that big of a fucking deal. And then if you are trying to come in 6 days a week, do mobility, do focus, do lightweight. Like there's so many
Move the
options.
body, touch up on some things. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like that's always going to be an option too. And I mean, I think there's a lot of benefits to taking a full body approach, but there's also benefits to doing other things as well. And without this turning into, programming 101, I think I'll pretty much leave it there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is going to be an episode that we need to do again. We've done it in the past, but I think
Yeah.
it'd be time once again to revisit this type of subject. Let's move on. We're up to the four days a week here. Very traditional, common way to split this up in a way that now we can dive into what we, because the 6 and 5 day a week, we were talking a lot more on the aesthetic. It's an easy way to not overkill the performance aspect of things. Now we move into more of a 4 day split where if you're someone that cares more about just getting really strong, but you can still focus on the aesthetics, this is a good blend. It's a very common thing that most people can follow long term because it's not, you still have your 3 days to kind of play with. If, let's say, you miss a day, you still have more than enough time to complete your routine. Upper lower, a break, upper lower, or a straight full week of upper lower. Or if you throw in a rest day in any of those, that is completely fine. But an upper lower split for a 4 day a week is a very common. Or you can do a push pull legs with one accessory day, where if you want to come in and just target your accessory work, or weak point is an option. A body part split is even an option here. You can do kind of a chest tries, back buys, legs, accessories. That's an option. So, or you can do a a chest. It can be in any order: chest, back, legs, arms. That can include your shoulders in there. So it can be a way that you want to still focus maybe on a more of a bodybuilder style approach. But if you're a power lifter or someone that's not power lifter necessarily, but you're someone that really focuses on strength and you care more about your performance, the upper lower is a fantastic way because you can kick off the week with more strength, like we did in the 5 day split, or the push pull legs first half, and then move on to more of a lighter, more supporting part of the week where it adds more of that volume to maybe work on those weaknesses on your strength, or maybe points that you're maybe lacking on to improve your numbers. Mike?
Yeah, I feel like the upper lower is kind of the go-to for 4 days. The only other way that I can see it is to slightly expand upon what you define to be a push and a pull. You could
Mm-hmm.
technically do a push and a pull. If you expand upon that to be, squats and other quadricep dominant exercises are push, and then pulls are, hamstrings and glutes dominant. So
Mm,
then you're basically just
absolutely.
throwing in some extra leg work, anterior, posterior chain stuff, onto your otherwise, you know, push pull day. You could justify doing that. I've done that before as well with myself, and then maybe a couple clients. But if I hear 4 days, my brain immediately goes to upper lower. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
that's the go to if you give me 4 days to work with.
Absolutely, and that's to still keep it in mind if you're someone that wants to add 2 days of a particular region. I don't like the way the one you mentioned. I have done it, never stuck to it long term. I didn't
Yeah, it
like
feels kind of
having.
weird.
I've never liked, especially you can do that even with your push pull legs because you can make one leg day, let's say, more quad focus, and the other leg day more glute and like hamstring focus, for example. I didn't like that. I feel sore either way. So I personally never like doing that, but it's not wrong or someone can't do that, for example, not a problem. But those are the main ones. It's gonna get more simple here. There is still a lot to keep in mind when doing 4 days a week or even less days, because you have to make sure that you're stimulating the body. And this comes down to how many sets and all that, which is a completely different episode. The main focus here, guys, is that more isn't better. So don't think that the less days you do, I don't want you to automatically assume that you have to do more sets necessarily. The intensity is still going to be a major component here with your training, and the how are you recovering from those workouts. Those are going to be most important, and then you can kind of get creative with the amount of sets you out total throughout the week and all that good stuff. Should we jump into 3 days a week, Mike?
Yeah, 3 days. Let's do it. You know what
Cool.
I'm gonna say.
So, all right. So I'm gonna let Mike do what I know he's gonna say, but for 3 days a week, very common thing that I've been doing with some clients that are a bit more advanced, but they still want to keep 3 days a week. and just turn up the intensity a little bit, we do a push-pull legs on a one run throughout the week. Or for my guys, upper, lower, upper. Or for my ladies, lower, upper, lower. These are going to be different variations that I personally have done with my clients to still add certain components in my program if I want to get more as a coach and really start analyzing program design and kind of organizing in a way that's going to prioritize their goals, whatever that may be. So I'm going to let Mike do exactly. I know, Mike, where you're going to go with this, but that's kind of what I've been doing with my clients. And they still cover all their bases, because the most important thing here, when we start getting to the lower days, you can still cover all your bases with 3 days a week. The inspiration, even with this episode, came from my client we dropped her down to 3 days a week. She was 4 days. And her biggest, I guess, dilemma was, is this enough? Is 3 days enough if we organize? And I told her it is more than enough. There's so many ways of doing it, actually, but is more than enough. And let's try it this way for now and see how you do. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, full body. 3 days a week, you're taking a day off in between. Train everything, hit everything, and then take a day off, go back, do similar but different on a Wednesday, and then similar but different on a Friday. I've put maybe 75% of my clients through 3 days a week full body training, and everybody sees results. I mean, it's literally the go-to. I can see many other ways to split it, but if somebody says 3 days a week, I'm probably going to put them on a full body style of training until I see some reason otherwise. Yeah.
What's crazy?
What?
What's crazy is that most people that have done that do go to this or maybe sign up have never done a full body 3 times a week.
That's exactly what I was about to say. A majority of people are coming from upper, lower, push-pull legs, bro split, whatever it is, and have never done a frequency-focused full body style of training like that. And you'll probably see pretty damn good results from it, especially if you're like a pretty seasoned, pretty experienced lifter. You've never tried that before. Give it a fucking shot. You'll be surprised, and you will be amazed at how much of an ass kicking it is, because you're literally hitting everything, and it's exhausting. It's a good workout. Literally the go-to. I mean, I base my whole
and if you program it properly, Mike, you can, if you phase them properly, you can throw in kind of like different elements throughout the week. There's so many ways that you can get creative with the programming, but a very simple way that I can articulate this on a podcast without showing someone actually like step by step in person or like a full workout spreadsheet is block phases here. Block phases are phenomenal. They work tremendously well for the average person, for the majority of you, beginner, intermediate, or advanced. It just depends. Like if you're going to be a bodybuilding competitor, yeah, you're probably going to want to split the volume up and maybe enhance your volume here. So you're going to need more actual days to break it up. But if you're the average person that just wants to look great, feel great, and still have time for life, 3-day full body split done properly with a block phase where you maybe focus a month on strength, a month on maybe a different, like more on the lower rep ranges. Next month, you're going to be focusing on a little bit more of an intermediate, like hypertrophy rep range, which is 8 to 12 reps on average. That's going to be your go-to for a month. And then your third phase, which is next, month 3, you cycle through maybe more of an endurance style phase where you prioritize higher rep ranges, 12 to 15 or 10 to 15 for the majority of your exercises. That is a very general, very broad way of me to paint this, but that is the general concept. Works phenomenal. I've seen great success with the majority of clients that come to me and only have 3 days to dedicate to the gym. Can we make this happen? Here you go. That's a very awesome way to go about it.
The fucking best shape of my life was from 3 days a week full body training. I mean, literally best shape of my life came from working 3 days a week for an hour and sitting at a computer the other 23 hours out of the day every single fucking week. So it does work. I mean, it does. There's no arguing. You can fight me. Meet me in the fucking parking lot.
I'll race you. Take me on the back streets. We're gonna settle this in a quarter mile. But no, it's gonna be no. I really want to highlight that because Mike, me and you did that for for over a year. We did we transitioned you because we did different style splits and we broke it up a little bit and we tried different things. But yeah, hands down, the way you looked on a 3 day aesthetic focus, we were focusing on your aesthetics here. We were focusing obviously on your strength as well. There was some components, but we mixed things up and we came to that conclusion that this is what we're going to do for a couple of months up to it, but almost about a year through different integrations of different programs, different styles. But 3 days a week was a main driver for the majority of your training, is where you're able to recover the best. So you're able to make the best gains. Now, I'm not saying that everyone needs to do this, but ironically enough, what we find with the majority of people, to make the most of your time, to not live in the gym, and to be able to simply be recover, even if you have maybe a night of bad sleep or a couple nights of bad sleep. A 3 day a week was a very beautiful sweet spot for the majority of my clients. I have to be a little biased here, and this was also a very big paradigm shifting moment for me in my career, which made me a much more understanding, a much well-rounded trainer. This is what blew my career up, was understanding this for myself and taking this and adopting this, because I was no less than 5 days a week guy. I was 5 days on regular. That was me for the while because I was passionate. But what happens? It came short as a trainer if I would have continued to adopt this, because we are talking to the everyday person that has a life, that has responsibilities, that has other passions. They just want to improve their health. Sir, can I build some muscle and get lean with you doing only 3 days? I only have these amount of days to really pay you to come in anyways. I'm not going to work out by myself. If I hadn't gone through that phase of adopting that paradigm of just switching over and trying a full body split, and I got to give credits to the guys from Mind Pump, Sal in particular, that introduced this concept, I think, to the other guys, Justin and Adam. And then they obviously understood this with training their clients as well. They automatically put this, but I think Sal was the first guy that put the original MAPS anabolic together concept. And this is where it derives from, where I got a lot of my understanding and experimentation with this. The beautiful thing about that program is that it allowed you to kind of morph it into whatever you wanted to. And that's was something that I was like, I'm going to lose my muscle here. If I do this, I'm going to lose my gains. I'll maybe post a throwback picture where I was doing a 3 day MAPS aesthetic style training. And dude, I looked fucking one of my favorite looks ever, even before competing. I built such a fantastic base with this program, or just that concept, that split, 3 days, full body focused, kicking my ass. This is not by taking it easy and not working hard. You definitely push the intensity. Not saying that, like I said, if you don't like it, you're probably not going to continue being consistent with it. But we have options. Like I said, you can divide it into a push pull leg style training, kick your ass in those, really go hard, because you only have 3 days to train. Your intensity needs to be up with the less days, more intensity. And typically 4-3 are going to be my favorite go-tos. I'm a little biased here now because I've kind of gravitated towards these days for the majority of my people. Even though I train right now 5 days a week, 4 and 3 days are my favorite. Mike, anything else before we move on to the last part?
Yeah, just to throw it out there and to see, if it lands. But I have had one or two people that I wrote an upper lower full program for, basically 3 days, upper body heavy, lower body heavy, and then a full hypertrophy day.
Yes. Yes.
That hypertrophy day wound up being significantly longer in duration because we're trying to get volume in and everything. And that worked okay. I wasn't over the moon about it, but it was okay, and they liked it. So, for if that's more what you're looking for, you want to get a little bit of conjugate in, different rep ranges, a lot of kind of stuff. You can still kind of manipulate and do certain things like that if you want to, just as an option.
I think we got overly excited on this 3 day one, but yes, 100%. Logically speaking, a lot of it's going to boil down to considering volume. And this is an episode of program design, but you need to organize your routine. You can totally get away with an upper lower full body day, or the push pull leg style. You can even break it up, like push, break, pull, break, legs. So don't think that you have to just train Monday through Wednesday and be done.
You get, like the 6 day a week. That's the Ferrari. It's sexy. It's hot. You post about it on Instagram. It looks good in pictures.
It's unreliable though. It breaks down.
Yeah, the 3 days a week. That's a base model Camry, bro. That thing's gonna put 300,000 miles on the road before it needs a fucking oil change. Like it's gonna go forever.
That's so. That's such a funny analogy, dude. That's so
true
funny.
though. You get so much mileage out of just 3 days a week, full body.
It's reliable, 100%.
It's super consistent. It's super reliable. You get so much wiggle room with that kind of training.
Dude, so I'm so gonna make a post like this. I'm gonna give you a shout out. I'll give you a shout out.
Feel free. Yeah, let's drop it down to 2 days. You already know what I'm gonna say.
Yep. So 2 days a week, we can both come down to this, Mike, is 2 full body days. If you have only 2 days to work out, typically if 2 full body days. I've even gone to, with some of my clients right now, I do an upper and a lower day. Some clients just like to have a day where they don't have to worry about legs. They just really don't enjoy, or maybe they want to have maybe that separation of upper and lower. We kick their asses on both of them. We do train really hard on both. So it just depends, guys. Here, like I said, the frequency component is a beautiful thing about having a full body option, or days where you're going to repeat or a particular region of the body. But it's not going to be the end all be all. If you're someone that's training 0 days a week and you divide it upper lower, because maybe your schedule only allows you to combine those 2 days together back to back. Those are the days that you're going to consistently work out, or going to be typically back to back. And upper lower is going to be a phenomenal option for you as well. So don't think that you have to do full body back to back days. Not at all. If you have back to back days, an upper lower on a 2 day split works phenomenal. Now, I want to kind of circle back to the beginning of the episode that we talked about. What's going to determine what's going to be best for you to see results? That you assess your lifestyle, your goals. What are you trying to accomplish here? What do you care about the most? And then your consistency level. What can you adhere to realistically over the course of a long time, or possibly forever, right? Maybe you're just someone that just cares about overall health and looking better physically and performing better as well. So we can loop that all into a section. And then your ability to recover. Is your life in a position where you can add more days, or do you need to kind of float within more days of recovery, 4, 3, and 2? Or are you someone that you're really dialed in your sleep, your nutrition, your stress levels? Maybe you're ready, your body's conditioned, you're ready for 5 and 6 days a week. Those are the things that I want you to take in consideration when it comes to programming and picking the amount of days that is going to be best to get the most results. Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything else to add. Don't feel like any of these days are inherently better than others unless you have extreme goals. If you're the average person, pick what fits your schedule best. And just be as consistent as you can. Pay attention to your body, pay attention to how you're feeling, pay attention to your mood. If you're dreading the gym, take it down a notch. There's no shame in doing that. You're competing with yourself. And if you're somebody that just got off the couch and decided you want to get into shape, you're already winning. So don't be too hard on yourself, and just be consistent. It's a fluid sort of dynamic that you're going to kind of settle into something that works well for you. Doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. And if you're doing something that's maybe nonsensical to somebody else, but it works well for you, then fuck everybody else and just do what you do. That's all that matters.
Dude, I had to add this. If you only had 1 day to train, what are you doing? What are you doing, Mike?
Dude, I'm going so unconventional. If I have 1 day to train, I'm going to go on I'm going to go on a 6-week split. 1 week is going to be like that 1 day, 1 week legs. And then next week I'm going to do chest. Next week I'll do back. Next week is arms. Next week shoulders, and then I'll circle back to legs. It'll all be gone by then.
Dude, you imagine if that actually someone did that, but they had the most amazing physique in wrestling. What do you do? I've been training for 30 years, and I've been doing one body, like one air push, pull, legs, but like every other week. And the puzzled look that I would have if someone said this to me, but I would believe them because they were consistent as shit. Every Tuesday they did this particular workout, right?
Dude, you know what? I can see it.
You know what, guys? I'm not even going to shit on it. If someone did this and actually got tremendous results, I'm not going to knock it. But I will say this. Obviously, we will throw in, if you only had 1 day to work out, we're going to do a full body approach. It may not be a long full body approach. It may just be a couple basic compound lifts and kind of smush and make your time more efficient. But yes, you can even train. I have clients that only work out 1 day a week consistently because that's what all they realistically can do. And we make a joke of it, but this is the reality. This is a real thing that can happen. A full body day, 1 time a week, sends a very loud signal to a beginner, where they can definitely start seeing their body change. And then eventually you want to maybe adopt that second or third day. But from there on, you are golden, my friend. So this, I wanted to kind of break everything down. We have a little bit of bias when it comes to Gen Pop, right? We understand behaviors, we understand basics, we understand the recovery component and the science, of how to kind of write these things together. People will argue in different camps of what is the best, right? But the ultimately, it's what's going to determine that is going to be yourself and your level of commitment. What do you want, and are you taking the proper steps to recover from these training sessions? Remember, you guys, it's not about doing the most. I don't want you to latch on to, oh, I can do all this in a 6-day split. I don't want you, or I can do all this in a 5-day split. I don't want you to naturally just gravitate towards. If you want to build up to that, I think it's a phenomenal goal. It's not a bad thing. But you don't need to. You really want to remember that you grow outside of the gym, and this was something that really uh, broke my paradigm. Is And I still struggle with for years until I finally nailed it down, was that you don't grow in the gym, you grow outside. You need to be able to recover from that signal that you send to the body. So pick a day, pick a split, pick anything that you want to work for you, try it out, see how you feel. And if you're getting stronger over the course of time, perfect. Don't change a thing. Keep going until you feel or notice that you need more, or you've been going strong for a lot of days and you need less for a bit. There's going to be those are two options. It's not a one-way street. With that being said, Mike, anything else to add before we wrap this up?
We actually we had a break-in last night. I forgot to mention that.
No shit.
Yeah. So they got in through one of our windows, and they only took the fruit, which I thought was really weird. I mean, when I woke up, I was kind of like assessing the situation, and I mean, once I figured out that they only took the fruit, I was just peachless.
Good one. I love the smoothness of that one. The intro of that one was brilliant. I already knew where we were going with this. I know you guys long enough that I already know where this is going. But for the listener that maybe this is new, that is our dad joke section of our episodes at the very end, when we get through all the important stuff, the meat and potatoes. But we still have some love for it. I think we did a phenomenal job, dude. Not to toot our own horn, but I think we did a phenomenal job at breaking this can be very complex topic and covering as many variables as we can. Obviously, when it comes to program design, that is a whole other episode. We need a whole other episode or episodes to cover program design, because it might be something that people now might care about. You let us know, listeners, is this something of interest, of something that you want to know?
I could see like 3 or 4 episodes out of that, honestly. Like we could, probably the more we break it down, the better, to be honest.
I want to do that, and I also want to bring on other people again, other coaches, other people that we know that are great at this training. Personal training has many arts, many facets. There's the nutrition coaches that understand the super well rounded in the nutrition, which is a huge component to body composition and changing and improving your overall health. Absolutely. But then there's the art of workouts. what makes a person want to go to the gym and kind of kickstart their active lifestyle, probably is the gym. The gym is something that they're drawn to. The food is not always the most exciting part, even though it's something that we do need to do to function as a human being. But the art of program design is something that is very cool. If you understand the science of biomechanics, functions, patterns, levers, anatomy, so on and so forth. There's so many moving parts to that as well. So that's why I have a lot of respect for trainers. I think a lot of people don't give the trainers enough credit, man. It's the field is endless with information and knowledge that is just waiting to be tapped into. So I think collaborating, expanding our horizons, challenging your paradigms, even at the point that we're at right now, is super critical for growth and to better serve you guys and bring you guys the best content that we can.
I want Post Malone.
Post Malone. I'm down, man. We can bring us some Post Malone. I don't care.
No reason. Just I think it'd be fun.
Yeah. With that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and it got tremendous value. If you have any questions or ideas for future episodes, please shoot us. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can put this in the comments section. If you want to go through to our Instagrams personally and let us know, and ask us anything in general that you may relate to or want a better understanding. Maybe you said something that someone might gravitate towards, or maybe I said something or even gave in other episodes. I know everyone connects to everyone a little bit differently, personality wise, but in general, we're always here to serve you guys and bring you guys some good content. So with that being said, check us out on the socials at The Next Level Show. My personal page is at John Alvo Fitness. Gabe's at Prime and Glory. Mr. Mike's at Mike Nillis PT, guys. And with that being said, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.